want to move on to the topic that I completely agree with you on, is that the people with spreadsheets, the financial directors, have so much control over how budget is spent. And when a lot of things, like, in my industry, digital marketing, everyone wants to track all forms of digital marketing, like paid search. Now, paid search is great, because you can convert, you can see exactly what keywords have led to how many conversions, what time of day they convert, but that can't be applied to, say, social media. I know that you've put it as we try and track things in a Newtonian way. I've heard you speak about it quite a lot. Have you had any success with changing?
Okay, here's the way to look at it, which is optimization is good up to a point, but it's vitally important to remember you can over-optimize. And I think there's a whole question, which is things like the shareholder value movement, the whole approach to driving efficiency in organizations, without the slight caveat that if you look at nature, it generally places quite a high premium on efficiency, but it also places quite a high premium on what you might call, well, not even resilience. Nassim Taleb would call it anti-fragility. So we actually have two kidneys, even though we can only function with one, etc. There's quite a bit of redundancy there in the system. If you look at bees, when a bee comes back and does the waggle dance and explains the direction and distance of a bountiful patch of pollen, most of the bees actually follow that instruction and do what they're told and head off to that patch and gather a bit more pollen. Hugely important bit of social intelligence. But it's vitally important to note that quite a few bees, and it varies depending on where the hive is in relation to the equator and probably species of bee as well, quite a few bees don't. They ignore it and just go off doing their own thing. Now you think this is pretty inefficient. They mathematically modelled it and discovered that without those rogue bees, the hive would actually get trapped in a local maximum and starve to death. That you do need a degree of inefficiency to cope with the fact that the environment in which you operate is not stable or in equilibrium. So one of the important things, I think Nassim Taleb's suggestion, I think has applications to media as well. His suggestion is what he might call a barbell strategy, which is go to the two extremes. So put 80% of your money in stuff that you know works. Optimize that, really, really efficient stuff, where the payback is pretty damn certain. Put 20% of your money in stuff that will probably fail, but where the cost is finite, where failure is quickly knowable, and where the potential upside, as with the rogue bees, their chance of failure on their mission is much higher than for the other bees, but actually it's those bees who also discover a massive new pollen patch that's just sprung up somewhere to the northeast. Okay? And so that mixture, understanding risk properly and understanding how to actually respond to it, is better than understanding efficiency. Because anybody who's in a job for 2 years is just going to pursue efficiency.
That actually leads on to the question I was going to ask.
And the danger, because you can say, look what I did, I got it from X to X point. Now, really smart people are realising that in complex systems there's more going on than this. Nature, for example, seems to have checks and balances to prevent over-optimization. And that you need a degree of experimentation. And so the best software, actually, the best algorithms now are kind of Darwinian. Which is they put a large amount of the money where you'd expect it, where logic would tell you to put it, based on experience, but they continue to actually test the hypothesis. So they will continue to place, albeit a smaller amount of investment, in places where ads didn't work in the past, to keep a little weather eye on the fact that maybe the situation's just changed. Because neoclassical economics has this idea of stable equilibrium, where all things return to this equilibrium state. Whereas it's absolutely obvious that both in nature and in business, the marketplace is changing all the time. And you're not in control of it, okay? I mean, one of the things that's widely known in marketing is a brand can just be depositioned. In that the shape of the market changes, so someone who was previously a number 2 becomes a number 3, or falls out of consideration. RIM, you might say. I think it can revive itself cleverly, but that's another matter. But there are cases where nothing you do, may be able to help. That what your competitors do just so ends up creating a choice architecture in which you're a massive loser. And the problem is that if you purely optimize your own stuff and don't pay attention to changing environments and so forth, you can just end up wrong-footed.
Yeah.
And so really good software is engaged in continual learning processes where it will go, well, that didn't work last year, but I'll put a tiny percentage of my budget continually seeing whether, because shit happens, stuff changes. You know, who would, I mean, the kind of people who buy your brand may change quite a bit.
Yeah.